Hello, welcome to the Empower Series podcast. My name is Clifton Johnson. I am the founder of the Empower Series, and I'm honored to be your host today. I want to say hello to our guests in the United States and around the world. You are in for a treat, so get your pens and paper ready. In every program, we want to give you hope, inspiration, education, and connection to resources to help you achieve your goal. Now, I'm excited today because, the Empower Series is all about networking, being better angel watchers, because there's people around you that I believe can help you take your next step to achieve your goal. The person I'm going to introduce you today, our guest, has formed a nonprofit organization that is dedicated towards helping students and young adults really connect with those resources, with personal development, networking, and really learning the skill sets to help them be financially empowered. Hence, Empower Series, Empowered. So there's a connection there. So get your pens and paper ready, like I always say. Note takers are money makers. Action takers are even ultra money makers, right? So our guest today is Grace Otieno, and she is here with us today. And I want to just go ahead and dive in and start talking about what she's doing in her nonprofit organization. So Grace, thank you for gracing us with your presence today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So I know that we have been talking a lot off camera about a lot of different things. And it's like, we had to stop. I want to get that on camera, on camera. So again, the connection here. We met at a coffee shop.
Yes.
And I was hearing you talk about...
You were ear hustling. That's what you were doing. You were ear hustling.
No, you were talking loud. That's what it was. You were just talking loud.
I got to.
So I wasn't... but boldly, I walked over. So I actually practiced what we talk about here, the fact that there are people around us that can really help us take that next step to achieve our goal. And there was just something about you. So I came over to you and I said, hey, I wasn't like eavesdropping, but you were just talking loud, right?
For sure.
And so you do a number of different things, right? So you definitely are in the financial space. But one of the things I want to talk about today, maybe we can bring you back and talk about these other things, is that you started a nonprofit.
Yes.
You were part of your story that I'll let you do a better job in elaborating, but you saw a gap as a student, in an area of what you wanted to do and what you wanted to become. And you just felt, you saw this gap, you experienced it. And now you as an adult are closing that gap.
Yeah.
So I want to give you this platform to talk to us about what you're doing in the community that's really empowering young students and young adults.
Awesome. Thank you. So from a student perspective, from the moment I was like maybe elementary, middle school, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. My mom was a nurse and, I did the whole take your kid to work day thing.
Yeah.
And I saw like the anesthesiologist. And so I knew that they got a lot of money, right? Word. What do? They show up with the needle. And for some reason.
It make you feel good.
for some reason, they get paid a lot of money. I was like, I want that job. So I always heard the talk because my mom was a labor and delivery nurse. So I was like, I want to work side by side with people like my mom, but I want more money.
Got it.
So I was like, that's a wrap. That's what I want to do. So I went through middle school and no one ever geared me towards exposure, right? Actually, I'm run that back. I lied. There was a class in my school district called like health something. There was some healthcare class for people who wanted to be in the medical profession. And my mom was like, there's all these kids from your high school coming to, at the time she worked at a hospital where they like in my
career day.
Yeah. No. Like there was like a class where you go and you actually practice clinicals. And it happened to be at the facility where my mom worked.
Okay.
And she was like, I see these people coming from your school. Like all these Mansfield ISD kids are coming to our clinic. Like, why aren't you in that class? You want to be a doctor, right? I was like, nah, Mom, I'm doing the Ready, Set, Teach. It's a free 100. I get to go and play with some kids, and I'm just like having a good time, right? And it's a free 100. Meanwhile, in my head, I still wanted to be a doctor. So I already had a disconnect there. And so I went on to college and I had that first semester experience and just failed. Total failure. While I was studying biology, because, if you want to be a doctor, no one ever tells you, you can study anything as long as you get the but that part alone, I never had guidance. So I got into a major that I hated, a major that I didn't like, wasn't engaged in. And I was like, why do I want to be a doctor again? So I was just like, okay, let me go. And, I went through the whole statistic of changing major this many times. I couldn't even count. I can't even tell you how many times. But that was pretty much my experience transitioning from high school to college. And then I ended up being a high school teacher.
So let me back up for a second. So I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
So in the midst of career days, and you've had people come in and talk about different careers.
Yeah.
Your experience with your mother, you deciding very young that you wanted to be a doctor based on what you saw, not knowing what the path was going to be.
Yeah.
You kind of had blinders on and didn't really take the time to look at all of the different options for you.
Not at all.
And all of the different paths, right? And then you found yourself as an adult going through college, realizing how did I get here? This is not where I wanted to be. Like, this is not my beautiful idea of like getting paid lots of money to shoot people and make people go to sleep. So that being said, you now as an adult are looking back at this and seeing that not only in yourself, but seeing it in other young students, right?
Yeah. So like I was, for a while I was coaching soccer while I was teaching. And so my girls would come into my room for a tutoring period between school ending and soccer practice. And so if they didn't have their teacher they needed to get help from, they would just come and chill in my room, do some homework, whatever. And I started to ask my seniors, I was like, wait, what do you want to do in life? Like, you're a senior, you're close. And a lot of them just said, I don't know. Wow. Like, I haven't thought about that. And I was like, you're about to graduate in 2-3 months and you haven't thought about that? Like, that's a problem. And so that's where the idea truly started formulating for me to create this connection. Like, hey, what do you want to do? Let me connect you to someone who's doing it. Let me bring these people to talk to you. Let's facilitate something, because I don't want you going out into the world with this next step and you just have no clue. So I wanted to like give them a clue.
So what age do you think that needs to happen? I mean, yeah. What age do you think it needs to happen?
Early. Like, as early as possible.
Before a freshman in high school?
Yes. So definitely, because when do you start figuring out, when do people start asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Like when you're a kid playing with your fire trucks and police trucks, like, I want to be a police officer, not knowing at all what that's all about. Right?
Exactly. Well, like, okay, and someone who actually planted something in my head regarding that question you just asked. I have a teacher friend who is going to watch this podcast, but she empowers her children. That's one person I've seen raise their children with intent. And she has everyone's going to know exactly who I'm talking about, but she has a son who she called Dr. John from the time he was a child.
Okay.
And Dr. John is now like a powerhouse in everything he's doing, football, state champions, like over a 4.0 GPA. And she instilled that in him. And I believe that he's getting recruited from all over the world. This is side stuff that you can cut off. But right. This is really, let me go. Can I? No.
We're not cutting anything off. Go ahead. Like, that's not fair, is it? Well, go ahead.
Okay, but my point is, like, as much as he has going for him, he still wants to be a doctor.
So it could be a doctor in many different ways, academic doctor as well as medical doctor.
He wants to be a medical doctor.
Okay, and that's great, right? So I think it's interesting you make a point that we create that foundation in our kids very early. You can start by calling them king or queen.
Yes.
Right? Because you're royalty, and whatever you want is for you. But when we start that young, in whatever field, do we feel like we're giving them choice? So I admire that, because that's really good, and he may become a doctor. Yeah. But is that what he really wants, or has he been kind of conditioned? I don't know.
I believe it's what he wants.
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe it is.
But I think that's very, very great, because what I feel like we need to do, what parents need to do intentionally, like you're a friend, is really let our children know that all is possible. And giving them that direction, whether they choose to do it or not, but whether he becomes a doctor or not, he's just going to be great. Yeah. So it's like John the Great. Yeah.
He is good. He's already great, but yeah.
So with your movement, or your movement, what age do you focus on?
I focus on high school, and the reason being is because you're at that cusp where, like, hey, life can go a lot of different ways by the time you graduate, and there's so much pressure. There's pressure of, oh, do I need to go to college? Some people don't need to go to college. Some people are going to go to college and waste a lot of money. Yeah. And then there's like oh, what career do I do? Can I make a decent living without having 3-4 jobs to balance everything out? But that exposure of the different options that are out there are saying like, hey, you can make a great living doing X, Y, Z, and this is the certification you need to get. Or, hey, you can go and study this degree if this is a part of your passion. But cultivating what their passion is, that's another part of it. Cultivating passion and putting adults who have similar passions in front of them, because that adult may not be working directly in a line of or a career path that lines up with their passion, but you can see how they tie their passion into it.
So why is that missing in the educational system? Because you were in the educational system as a student, and now you went back and you did this kind of career work for a district. But my question is, you have career days, you have certain classes where people learn about different careers, but there still was a gap. Why is that?
Well, the real is career days, one, they're inauthentic.
Okay.
You can put somebody, any career, you can come to me and talk about financial advising for a middle school kid or a high school kid. That don't mean nothing to me.
Well, when I did it, okay, I think my kids like me because I made it real, right?
I got you.
But to your point, you have all these different professions coming in and talking to kids, and it's like, are they paying attention? Is it intentional, right? It's not really customized. It's just a class that kids don't need to worry about going to school, taking a subject.
Yes.
But you saw that as being non-intentional, which makes a lot of sense.
Well, I just see like the general way career days have traditionally been done is you have these people come in, maybe they speak in front of a group, and then like, first of all, kids don't know what questions to ask.
Right.
So who's teaching them that? Or the gap we don't see is like, I see the glorious lawyer over here or the financial professional. How did you get there? Where did you struggle? Did you get a degree?
Yeah.
Do I need a degree? Do I need to go to a big school? Do I need to go to a small school? Do I need to get a bachelor's? Do I need to get an associate's? And there's a lot of different paths that can lead to the same goal. And that's a lot of the missed parts. We see the glory, but we don't see the story.
Yeah. Like we see the success. We don't see the process of success. I got you on that.
Or what it looks like to.
So is that what your organization does now? Because the schools are not doing it. They're still not doing that, right?
So I'll frame it this way. I got an awesome opportunity to put into practice, kind of experiment the things that I wanted to do for my organization, but while I was working for a school district. And so I tested a lot of my theories on like, hey, if we did a career day this way for high school students, for middle school students, how would it work? So I had more interaction. I forced interaction. That's what I did.
Okay.
That's what I did. I brought in professionals. We had full gym full of tables and stuff, or like panel discussions in one, and a rotating system, or military in one room. And then so what they did, because also I hate when every kid thinks, oh, I want to go to the military. What branch? The Army. Oh, well, that's the only branch that's ever been to your school. What about, do you know the other, like what they specialize? But like giving them that exposure and then having them actually interact. So I had like, whether it was bingo, and I would have the kids play bingo for gift cards. So I would get the gift cards, and the bingo has the questions. So you have to interact, whether we do blackout bingo or 5 in a row, you have to actually ask these questions to professionals in the room. And the professionals, I told them, some of them were a little easy on the kids, but I said, don't give the kids a stamp or sign off on it until they have an authentic question, like a conversation with you.
Right.
So now the kids are like, okay, one of the things is like, find someone who went to school out of state from where they came from. And so the point there is to get to the conversation of what does it look like to go to school out of state, or find someone who works in, who has a living but didn't get a college degree. The conversation there is for that professional. I would expect them to, go on and tell them, hey, this was my process. I got this job because I did X, Y, Z. So now you're facilitating conversation, but the kids they may just want the T-shirt or the gift card. But they have to do some work and some work, whether it's a small seed that was planted, like, hey, I got some kind of information from getting this 5 in a row. And so like that was me forcing them to have the conversation.
All right, I got you. So I'm hearing two things now.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is there's a big gap of really giving kids the information they need about the array of opportunities,
Yes.
whether it's entrepreneur opportunities or career opportunities that is abound that they can choose from, and the different paths that people can take, right?
Yes.
Because it's not always the traditional academic path. That's number one. Number two, though, what I was hearing in the games that you're doing is human interaction. And, part of what your nonprofit does is networking. And that's a skill.
Yes.
That's a skill adults need to improve upon, right? Because that's critically important, because relationships, nothing of significance can ever be done alone, right? And so really engaging and having conversations with people to get that information and also to show how you can add value is important as well. And so let's just back up a little bit. I want to read the purpose of your organization.
Got you.
So your organization is a nonprofit that's dedicated to empowering youth and young adults through professional networking and career development. Additionally, the organization promotes business and financial education, equipping young people for skills for long-term economic empowerment. So I like the fact that it's career development, or what was it? Yeah, career development and networking.
Yes.
You just stop there, right? Drop the mic. Those are two skills that you see as lacking in young adults. And the system is not fostering that. And your organization does.
Yeah.
And so you have the opportunity to work and get paid by a school district to test these things out. And what was the results?
It was awesome. Like, so once I was in that role with college and career readiness, I had, well, first of all, a budget, right? So having a budget to be able to put together certain programs. I took kids, and this was post COVID. So we're not doing a lot of in-person interaction. So we were kind of getting out of that space. So that was a barrier in itself. But I was like, because that also shut down a lot of projected activity before I got this role. That shut down projected activities I had, because I'm like, ooh, the whole premise of my organization is networking. How do I do that? And then like, now you want to force that online? I was like, I just got to put this on pause for a little bit. Right. And then, so it came up with the opportunity for me to do the same thing within the school district. So as we're coming out of COVID, I was like, okay, we need to get these college visits back up and rolling. So I did a Texas tour. We went everywhere from Lubbock to Houston to Prairie View to Austin, Arlington, Denton, you name it. We were there. So like the kids were getting this exposure to see what different college campuses look like. And that was a part that we did want to push for sure. I also brought in, I wanted to familiarize students with terms that are used in the professional settings or events, like a lunch and learn. Kids are like, what's a lunch and learn? Well, you're going to get some lunch.
You're going to learn something, right?
You're going to learn something. So I would have like catered food, right? So you don't have to eat the cafeteria food. If you sign up for my lunch and learn, I'm only taking 25 people per lunch. But 25 people is an intimate enough group. And I'm bringing, whether it's a person from a specific industry or like a panel of people, I was bringing in the professionals. And now you're going to have one-on-one time with these professionals to ask questions. And I'm like, you ain't gonna just stare at them. We got to have a conversation. So I would sometimes, I would have to facilitate the conversation as a moderator, but it gave them the exposure, because now they're learning how to be in a professional setting where it's like, okay, lunch and learn. This isn't just me all wild and crazy in the cafeteria. We're going to sit, we're going to be quiet, we're going to be professional. We're going to have a system here of communication. You're going to have this opportunity to talk to people in places and spaces that you want to be. So I just facilitated that and said, well, let me sit back and watch and see what happens. So
are these programs still in existence now that you are? Come on. That's why you built your organization.
This is why I have my organization, because I want to do it for the world. I don't want to just do it for one school district. I want to do it for the world.
All right.
Yeah. I'll leave that there.
Well, here's the thing. I'm all in, right? Because
Yeah.
I want to collaborate with you.
For sure.
And I want to make sure that we're letting people know,
Yes.
and we're empowering students.
Yes.
And so you're focusing on ninth graders through 12th graders, or even college students?
Even
right?
college. I'm working on some collaboration with at the university level. But yeah, because they still need it. Once again, adults need a lot of the stuff that I'm providing.
So let's separate it. Let's say thank you for watching our content. I hope our content is inspiring you and empowering you to make a difference in your life and take that next step to achieve your goal. Empower Cities is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to positively impacting the world by inspiring people to thrive in every area of their life. We do that by delivering hope, inspiration, education, and more importantly, connecting you to resources to help you take that next step. To do that, we need your support. You can give your support in several ways. One is by texting give or donate to 214-225-6337. That is 214-225-6337. If you text the words give or donate to that number, you'll receive a secure text back where you can make a donation of any dollar amount, either one time or monthly. And whatever contribution you make, you are part of a team that is helping us inspire more lives. So please be a supporter. You can also be a member of our YouTube channel to support us that way. But whatever you do the top three. Get what you're supposed to get from the Empower series, share it with somebody else, and let us know how we're impacting your life by going to our website, www.empowerseries.com, and clicking in the top right-hand corner a survey and letting us know how we've impacted your life and how we can be of greater service to you. Until we meet again, be empowered and inspired to thrive. Let's talk about networking first.
Okay.
Because networking is critically important.
Yes.
You know, I had Dr. George Frazier come and speak to in our Empower series about networking. And it's something that people don't do well.
They don't.
His program was the 7 mistakes people make when they network. And so one of them was just no follow-up.
Yeah.
Like you meet somebody and it's like, okay, yeah, we had a great conversation. It's like, that's it. There's no follow-up. And so some of the other ones is like the first introduction, your first impression. It's like, okay, you don't tell people your whole life story.
Yeah.
It's like they're not interested in you yet. So how do you quickly just introduce yourself, like your name, where you're from, what you do, what value do you add? And then, you know, if you can prove it, then that's it. And like in 30 seconds or less, right? And if you're able to do that, and then afterwards they're interested, then you follow up later. So there's all these different skill sets you can learn from networking. What do you do in your program for students and college students to help them develop those skills?
So there's multiple levels to it. So there's different types of events that I would put together to do on a campus, whether it's a college, a high school, a middle school, a church, a community center. There's different formats.
You go to middle schools too?
I'm open to it.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm open to it.
Okay.
I have some connections at middle school, so working with doing some programs there. But the main target, yes, is college. High school and college. But the different formats. So the trademark event, I guess, would be where you have like a couple keynote speakers just speak on their life, their experience, and then maybe breakout rooms. So, hey, we have these 3 topics we're going to talk about. So one is elevator pitch. One is let's talk about finance, right? Or like a paycheck. How do you read your paycheck and understand who is FICA? Yeah. right? So like just like preparing them for different things that they need to know in the real world, right? And then so we come back together. Or it could be like another topic could be college clubs and groups or like, you know, just being in college or different spaces. So we could have breakouts. And so with that format, you come back together, maybe do a panel discussion with some of the leaders of the breakout rooms, and then go into authentic networking. Because now you've seen the people, you've been taught a concept, and then you've gotten to discuss or hear other people's questions. Now go do it. Okay,
I like that. So here's another, I think, a problem with adults as well as students. How do you build authentic, trusting, collaborative relationships before you need them?
Before I what?
Before you need them.
Ooh, you got to be nice to everybody.
You never
have to be nice. You have to talk to everyone. You have to talk. And here's the reality. So I live in an apartment here in Dallas, and there are times when I don't want to talk to somebody on the elevator.
And quiet. I know what you're talking about.
And some days I don't. Some days I don't. And it's not that anything's wrong with me. I'm just like not in the mood. But I'll always say, have a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or sometimes riding up the elevator, hey, how's it going?
What's up? Yeah.
Yes, I've been very calculated with this. I try not to ask it when I don't care. But the authentic thing to do, let me run that back. I ask the question even if I don't, because first of all, these are my neighbors.
Yeah.
They live in the same building. Yeah. If something goes wrong, who am I going to run to? My neighbors. Right. Like, if they're like,
that's when we're in the elevator that doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah. Like, I'm just like, it helps to just, oh, are you new in the building? Someone's moving in. You new here? Yeah. How do you like the building? Man, it has its goods, its bads, but everything, it's casual conversation and keep it pushing. It never hurt anybody. But the beauty in it is you never know who's going to be your next employer, your next employee, your next your boyfriend, girlfriend. Right. Like, you don't know. Look, if you never talk to people.
God can only bless you through people,
exactly.
Right? And you're not open or engaging. Okay, so here's a thought I have, and maybe this can lead to an event that we can jointly do. Mm-hmm. So, I have a son who graduated from high school, went to the Ohio State University. Now he's at in Boston getting his master's. So right now, when he wanted to do an internship here in Dallas, he called me, like, when did he call me? Maybe April, very late, maybe in May. It was like, dude, you want to come to Dallas? And have you interviewed it? It's like what? And so the whole thing I did is I said, okay, well, first off, you have to have a system. You need to apply for jobs. And you need to have a list and let me know where you applied. So I can see, do I know of anybody who's at these places? And so I reached out right to my network. And my first introduction to my son to them was, I have a son who wants to become an architect. I didn't ask, do you have an internship for him, right?
Yes.
I didn't come directly with an ask. It's like, would you mind talking to my son and giving him some perspective about what it's like to be an architect, awesome. Which is part of your career development, right?
Yes.
That's all I wanted. I said, so Tyler, you got to understand, you need to build relationships, and that's the first step. Then the second step was, hey, my son has applied to be an internship. Do you know of any interns? And so, long story short, nothing came back.
Yeah.
It was crickets.
Gotcha.
and so even the people who knew people, I just said, hey, thank you, but nothing came back.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that came back to somebody who I did not know, who knew somebody in HKS, came back and he got an interview from the person who runs the program, and it was hired the next day.
Wow, that's how it works.
And so you just don't know where it's going to come from. But I share that story with you because we are all in a position to where when we need something, that's when we're reaching out. So I was trying to tell my son, now that you have these relationships, you should be staying in touch with them and just letting them know what's going on. You should be following what's going on in their company, giving them some kudos for things that they've made, what they've done. Like, you don't need anything.
I'll further that by saying, now that he has that relationship, every time you meet a person or establish a relationship, you have 3 more at least.
That can come from it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So students who are coming out looking for internships. So I would say, here's the value that you can add if you have a network. You're not just looking for a job.
Yeah.
The value that you can bring is that at least 20, 25 other students that have skill sets that might be a perfect fit for what you're looking for.
Yes.
So even in engaging in the conversation, it's like, hey, if you let me know what you're looking for, I may know of a colleague of mine that will be a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And so it's just about how can you give value first? So in this networking, it's elevator speech. How do you give value? How do you not just lead with a need? You know what I'm saying?
I'll further that with you mentioned something great, and I haven't mentioned this part of it yet. But with this whole program, I told you our focus is high school and college. And then, of course, I have the professionals component, which is people I solicit to come in and be a part of these events for networking. That college piece plays a huge role because I can help you through my organization to connect and get a hand up, but you can also reach back. Because those high school kids are going exactly where they are. And so if you can give by helping out the younger generation, help them learn the ropes. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They got you. Yeah. And you're still benefiting by reaching up to the network that I provided. So like there's multiple facets of like ways that people can, grow and build and practice networking. Because it may be more confident for a college age kid to, if I'm saying like, hey, go network, it may be easier for you to reach to kids, younger, like high school age
help
kids.
Somebody else.
And help them. And, you're learning through doing the process and teaching them the process. And then that's going to help you be better in reaching up.
So one insight is that no matter what level you're at, there's always someone that you can reach back to and be a mentor to and mentor somebody.
Yes.
And so that's important because as college students, they're always like they're learning.
Yeah.
They're looking for something. Hey, can you hire me? I need the experience. No, I give value. I give value because where I'm at, I've acquired a certain set of skills through my experience at 18.
Yes.
Right? That could be of value to someone who's 16 and 15,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. They discount that.
Yeah, they shouldn't though.
They
should not. Yeah, and that story, and even with my son, I told my son, it's like, hey, man, you're going to a pretty prestigious school in Boston right now. And it wasn't easy. Mm-hmm. Like his childhood wasn't easy. And I said, but at the end of the day, man, you can be an inspiration to other people who are trying to get where you're getting.
Exactly.
And so he has a little Instagram channel that he's trying to do some stuff with, but that's a whole other story.
Cool.
But I'm so passionate about, what's the name of your organization?
My organization is called Kutana. Kutana is a Swahili verb meaning to meet. And so where that comes from is my parents are actually from East Africa. So my dad's Kenyan, my mom is Tanzanian. Mm-hmm. And so, Swahili is the national language one of the national languages of both of those countries. And so I wanted to really tie back my culture into the name. Also, I love English. I have a whole degree in it, but I feel like some things are just so much more powerful if said in a different language. And so for whatever it means to anyone else, that's cool. But for me, Kutana is home. Kutana. And so I hope that kids who utilize the resources through my organization can feel home.
Kutana is home.
Yeah.
Okay, Kutana, I like that. Kutana is home.
Yeah.
And so again, how can I support you?
Well, on the adult side, as far as professionals, I'm always looking for more professionals to draw in to be a part of this network. Okay. So that when I do have an event, because also I don't have a specific group of kids within my organization per se, but I reach out and provide my services or take my network to wherever I am. So whether you're in Texas, which is great, but like Kutana needs to be worldwide.
It's global. Yeah.
It's global,
yeah.
Right? The concept is global. It's needed everywhere in the world. So like I need professionals everywhere in the world. And that's whether you want to be a mentor to someone who potentially wants to be in your field, whether that's what you want to come and be a speaker for an event, whether you just want to be available for questions. I can have you on a list and just, hey, email this person. They got you. You want to connect. Here's that person. It's whatever you have to give. I'm not asking everyone to just like come out to every event. No, that's unrealistic. Yeah. But you can reach out in whatever way you are moved to be able to reach out and help somebody, help a kid who didn't have like, because you didn't do it just easily
alone.
So let's help somebody else have just a few less steps to be able to get to that same goal.
So how do people reach out to you if they want to connect with you and be part of that team?
Reach out to me via Instagram on my handle is Kutana 19. Kutana, the number 19. No spaces, no underscores, no nothing. Just at Kutana 19.
So DM you there. And so that link and that information is going to be under the video as well.
Okay, awesome,
Okay.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
So that's the best way. Are you on LinkedIn as well? Or?
I am personally on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Kutana is not yet, but yes, I am on LinkedIn. You can find me at Grace Otieno.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now that's one thing. I'm doing this, giving you a platform to speak and everything like that. So do you have a scheduled event coming up? At the present moment. If not, we're going to create one right now.
So yes and no, and
Okay.
and I have the bandwidth to do multiple things simultaneously. I'm currently running a program or building out a program because my business background has opened a lot of avenues and mindsets of where this could go. But I am doing a Kutana Business Academy with a local community here in the Dallas area. So I'm building that out, and that will be a summer program. However, that is specific to that community. But if anyone would like to host a Kutana event, whether it's a networking event or just a class on a principle, whether within professionalism, finance, whatever it is that's catered to that age group of high school or college age kids, definitely hit me up, send me a DM, and we can work that out and determine how would that look for your organization. Whether, like I said, big group, small group, I can do a whole gym. I've done a whole gymnasium of people, an auditorium, whatever setting it is, college, church, high school, anything. Just let me know.
So you said the summer program is called what now?
So that program so I had a vision, right? Because I am an entrepreneur, and there are a lot of kids out there who want to be entrepreneurs too. So it's like, how do we instill this? Because that's a great path to go. And if we teach kids how to do it correct, the importance of the structure, the tax implications or benefits, or like all the things of structuring an LLC, even down to getting funding, getting business funding for your LLC, teaching those concepts, but at a palatable way that a kid can understand. So we are running a Kutana Business Academy. And so that's going to be a 2-week program with a specific group, like I said, in a community in Dallas.
You've already started that, right? Or
No,
you started the formation of that.
So yes, we are starting to build that out.
Okay, so I'm thinking about what we can do in collaborating and adding to that. There's a nonprofit called Project Still I Rise.
Okay.
Right, and they provide STEM training and as well as entrepreneurship to students. One of the things that they do is they have a student chamber of commerce.
Okay, that's dope.
And I know it's really cool, right? And then what they do is they provide a pitch competition, and as the pitch competition, you win funds to execute on your business concept, right? And what's interesting is that you don't have to repay the funds in money. You repay by volunteering your services and giving back and teaching the larger community. And so it's really cool. I'm going to, we're going to connect. We're going to network.
For sure.
We're going to collaborate with that organization.
You stole the words out of my mouth. I've been wanting to, like a Shark Tank type. I call it fish tank because, they're not sharks yet,
right.
but we're going to put them in the fish tank.
Wait, why you got to be shark? Because that's not dangerous, right?
No, it is. Like,
so because it's like
fish tank. I like fish tank. It's fish cute tank for the kids, right?
I gotta think of a word because when you look at
somebody's gonna steal that.
When we look at competition, right? So one perspective is that there's no competition.
Got you.
Because whatever idea you have is uniquely yours. And when you're going out getting people the scarcity mentality or the starve mentality, which is what we heard today, right?
Yes.
It's like that's a mental concept that doesn't exist really.
Yes.
Because there's an abundance of resources out there. There's billions of people, and your people, like we're all unique, but there's nobody that provides your services.
Yes.
And so nobody can take your clients. That's a perspective.
Yes.
And if nobody can take your client, what they're only waiting on is you. So how do you go out there? So when you look at the sea, when you look at Shark Tank, you think of like red blood, right? But the other concept is like there's white space.
Yes.
So what's the white space? The white space is that new innovative idea of creativity that you haven't stepped into that's waiting for you.
Yes.
Right.
I love that. One of my currently I've been reading a lot of Grant Cardone.
Oh, yeah.
And my boy
10X. Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's in 10X or Sell or Be Sold, but or it may be anyway. In one of his books, he's like, actually probably multiple. He says there's enough out here for everybody. And when we have that competition, the only person you're competing with is yourself.
Yeah, it is.
If you think it, because check this out, you're empowering people.
Right.
If I was like, oh no, this dude's I'm trying to empower people. He can't take over the empowerment space because I gotta get.
I got the market on that. I got the market on that. Like, right.
What are we doing?
Look, let me tell you something. The solution to the lack of empowerment that's out there takes multiple heads, right? And so I have to check myself sometimes because I think, okay, you know what? I may have an opinion about what they're doing and whether it's effective, but that's reaching the people it's supposed to be reaching. Yeah. And even like I'm reaching the people that I'm supposed to be reaching. You're reaching the people they're supposed to be reaching.
Yes.
And hell, if we collaborate,
yes, then we're all gonna just blow this thing up.
Yeah. So it's definitely a scarcity mentality to think that we got the market on this, and it's like nobody else too.
No gatekeeping over here.
Yeah,
I actually, so on Tuesday when I was meeting with that group of kids, what was I talking about? I was, first of all, a super intelligent young man, 16 years old, and he started asking, because we were talking about saving and finances, and he asked me about a 401k. I said, those words were nowhere near my mouth.
Boy, what you know about 401k?
And he's like, I heard it was a good thing to get. And I was like, oh, we could talk about, we're going to get into all of that.
Yeah.
And so I told him, but then like I started like just putting some game and like sharing with them different financial accounts that are out there, how they grow, how they're taxed, just like a very surface level. And then so one of them said, oh man, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to just keep it to myself. I said, sir, you're going to gatekeep on information that I just freely gave you?
Right.
And I was like, no. I was like, that mentality right there is something you gotta get out right now. Because everything that I share with you, I just want you to absorb it. And you're 10 times more powerful if you can pass that on to the next person.
Right on.
And I was just like,
okay, I'm going to ask you a financial literacy question. Okay. That's part of what you do.
Got you.
For your age group, high school, college, financial literacy. So there's really two questions. So what is financial literacy to you? That's the question number one. Then question number two is if there's one financial literacy injection that you can give somebody, what would that be that is tangible, that is actionable? Because I have an idea. Just one. Yeah, you got to pick one. Because there's a lot of stuff out there, right? There's a lot out there.
Got you.
Okay, so what would you say? What is it? And then what would be that injection that you think will help? Will be the the baseline for everything else going forward.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer that first question. The first question, what is financial literacy? How does money work?
Okay.
That's simply how I put it.
Okay.
How does money work? Because I think that encompasses everything. But anyway, the other part I'm going to answer in a twofold. The thing that I would tell everybody, own a business. I don't care if you have you want to go into a career that's an employment job, do that. But own a business or have some kind of 1099 employment so that you can take advantages of tax credits and deductions for business owners, because winning the tax game is the only way that you win financially.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's my little injection.
So I'm gonna add some things to that. And it might seem contrary.
Okay,
but I ain't arguing with you, right? I ain't arguing with you.
No competition.
Okay, yeah, no competition. So here's what we got. So the first thing is, what is financial literacy? And you say understanding how money works, right? Cool. And that's definitely part of financial literacy. I would add to that not only how money works, but how do I make money decisions? Because every day, whether we're paying for something or we're being sponsored, results in a financial transaction.
Yes.
So understanding understanding that world is important. And so I would say your financial literacy IQ, understanding how money works, different vehicles, different investments, different accounts, all of that kind of stuff is important. But more importantly, from a personal standpoint, you being able to make it's called financial capability,
Yes.
or capacity, or whatever you want to call it. It's how do I make the right decisions for me given where I'm at?
Yes.
Right.
For sure.
I think that's really financial literacy, because knowledge is one thing, but then the application of that is another thing. So how do I apply that to myself personally? Then the one thing that I would inject, because I been in financial advisor for a minute, right? Is one of those things to where people don't track. I was going to say people don't track their shit, but people don't track where their money goes. And I'll tell you right now, it's like you relate that to dieting or any kind of nutritional program.
Yeah.
And I understood this because whatever you're not really gaining traction on in your life is usually a reflection that you're not measuring it.
Yes.
And so, and you can measure your money and still make the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
So I know where all of my money goes.
You can measure your calories and still make them.
Right, you can, but if you don't know where it goes, then you have no clue,
no awareness.
And so every weight training or every weight system has a system for tracking your calories.
Yes,
I realized that when I talked to a nutritionalist and I was trying to get control over it, she said, well, "What are you eating? Like keep a journal."
Like, oh, no.
And I looked at her like she was crazy, right? And then I had an epiphany. I understood when I talked to my clients and I said, okay, where's your money going?
Yeah.
And they looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like, so the one injection that I would give even students to this day is understand and create a system to know where your money goes. And you talk about starting a business. So every business has a system that tracks all of their money to the dollar. If you're not tracking your money as a business, you're going to be out of business.
Yeah.
But yet when personally, we are relaxed. We don't do that. So I think if I could inject something in a community of people that would give them the foundation to improve their decision-making, it would be make it like brushing your teeth to where you know where you are financially.
Yeah.
You know what your liquidity is. You know what your debt to income ratio is. You know your income, your expenses, your assets, your liabilities. You have that knowledge because you've been tracking it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're making money as a student, you get an allowance and you're not making enough money to support yourself, you're realizing that you're short, right?
Yeah.
And that your gap is being supported by your parents.
Yeah.
So when you're moving out of your house and you're going to your dorm, you have a better understanding of managing that money. You understand when you get a credit card, it's like, dude, that's like, I was telling my son, I said, dude, that's not your income. Like, he said, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I was like, what? It's like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
And so the whole thing I'm making is that tracking where your money goes is a skill set that adults don't have, students don't have, and I find it could be problematic.
Yeah.
And anybody that's managing a significant amount of wealth have a system. They have people. If it's not themselves, they know where their money goes.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I'm going to talk to you about is you talked about everybody should have a 1099, some kind of income kind of 1099. You said everybody, really? Like, look,
you got to find a way to make the taxes.
Some people,
it can be over.
Well, let me just say this.
Be able to write some stuff off.
Well, let me say this. So this is where I feel, everybody has their place in this matrix. Mm-hmm. When someone says, for example, you didn't say this, but you can only create wealth if you are an entrepreneur. I disagree. I disagree. No, that's why I said you didn't say that. But I disagree with that because I know people, I have clients and I have family members who have only been teachers and they are very wealthy financially.
Because they've invested well.
Not just they invested well, they managed what they had.
Yeah.
So the first thing they did is they didn't spend more than they make. They never had a balance on a credit card that they couldn't pay off.
Yeah.
Right? So you're living within your means. And so if very few people do this though, right? That's why if you look at people who don't have like a larger amount of income, they're spending it all.
Yeah.
So I have people who have never made more than $20,000 a year who have more set up for their future than people who made six figures. And it's all because of the decisions that they've made. Now, their lifestyle is a little bit different. Like someone's making a six-figure income is probably living perceivably more comfortable or have more amenities, but they have more stress.
Yeah.
And so I just believe that everybody does not need to have a business. Some people are totally content going to work and not dealing with the additional self-employment taxes and all the other documentation to get the tax benefits of being a 1099.
Yeah.
And I know I'm just thinking about some people who are like that.
Is that?
But so I like the fact that you need to have multiple sources of income.
Yeah.
But that's not the path for everybody.
I get you.
And some people just can't handle that.
I get you.
Like, because their mentality, their desires, their wants.
I get you. I get you.
And here's the other thing too. So in every business to be scalable, you need employees.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so if everybody's an entrepreneur, there'll be no employees.
No, but I mean, and that's a part of why America works, right?
Yeah, because exactly.
But
the diversity of it all, right?
And I guess where I'm saying, I realize that not everyone can or will effectively run their own business, but try, right? Because some people never try, and they do have the capabilities.
Their creativity is endless.
Yes.
Right. And so what we talked about earlier too is negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. So if you think you can't do something because you're not capable or whatever, you need to squash that, because those opportunities are open for you. Yeah. Hence your organization, letting students and letting adults know that the world is your oyster. Yeah. Right?
Or it's like some people just have an idea and they're like, oh man, I would want to do that. And they just sit there on it. And I'm like, get out there and try. Listen, what's the worst thing that happens? You fail?
Here's the thing. So Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says that first off, we have thousands of ideas a day.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said we have around 3 or 4 ideas a year that if we were bold or daring enough to act on, could set us financially free. And that's your point.
Yeah.
You know, if you have an idea, because that's our leveling playing field, because we all have ideas. Yeah. And so part of what the Empower series does as well is we focus on helping people become better stewards of their ideas. Yeah. Because when you have an idea and you're being a better steward of it, it dictates how you spend your time. Mm-hmm. It dictates who you spend it with. Yes. And then that manifests in your material, outside of you. Yeah. And so that applies to networking, it applies to career development, it provides to everything. Yeah. Right? So, we can continue talking forever, can't we? Right? Yeah. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you a platform again to let the world know what you do, because you had an idea. I did. You saw a gap. You personally experienced that gap, and you see it in other children, and you were bold and daring enough to create an organization to really close that gap. Yeah. And I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. You are an example for us to follow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So with that being said, all of the links are going to be under the video for people to reach out to you. Awesome. If you want to get more information on the Empower series or your organization, you can also email thrive@empowerseries.com. I'll get that information to you as well. You can go to our website, empowerseries.com, and in the contact section, you can give us your contact information, your name, your email address, your phone number, and then put in there a message of what'd you get out of the Empower series? Why do why do you want to get out? What do you want to get out of the Empower series? How can we help you or empower you? If you go to our website, you can go to our survey link and let us know how we're doing. You can find out about our next upcoming events. And if you so inclined, you can also give to the Empower series by clicking on our donate button or texting give or donate to 214-225-6337. But whatever you do, you're to do 4 things. Get what you're supposed to get from the Empower series, share it with somebody else, let us know how it's impacted you, and then give your time, talent, or treasures. So we're going to collaborate.
For sure.
And we're going to do an event.
For sure.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we can host an event. Mm-hmm. It's a networking event. It can be a combination of your students, mm-hmm. and we can either do it 2 ways. We can either deal with a company, mm-hmm. like one of our sponsoring companies,
gotcha.
Or just one of the networking events that's happening in our city, throughout the city. And they're specifically making it to where the goal is to network with our youth. Mm-hmm. And we're going to make that happen. So I'm putting that out there. It's going to happen in 2025. And let's think we should do this during the summer. So we're not going to we're not going to deal with the school schedule or whatever like that. I'm thinking we can do this. If we're going to pick a month in the summer, what month do you want to pick?
July.
Okay, so July. Okay, we'll pick in July. And if we're picking a day during the week, is it a week thing or a weekend thing?
Weekend sounds good, but also here's why. Because I would like the parents to be a part of this and to see. Even if they're just sitting off to the side, not engaged, I want them to see it.
Okay, so if we're doing a weekend, It's a Sunday or it's a Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday is probably, that's when I've seen more engagement from families on
now,
Saturday.
if it's a Saturday, are we doing like... I know. Look, I'm getting it done. And this is how it works. Look, the Empower
you
Series...
just narrowed down the entire day. We are meeting on July, whatever. I don't even know what Saturday
it's going to be a weekend in July. Let me pull out my calendar real quick. But it's going to be a weekend in July.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be a Saturday in July.
Yes.
And we got morning, afternoon, mid-afternoon, or evening.
Morning.
So morning.
Like late morning.
Like 10 to 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 to 12.
Saturday, 10 to 12. Okay. We're going to work that out.
All right.
We're going to work that out. So we're going to figure that out. What month we're in May right now, right? So before the end of May,
got you.
We're going to figure that out, work it out, get it done. And look, you heard it on the Empower Series.
You heard it first here. It's happening.
So here's the thing. I want to express something to you. I want to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for you taking time out of your life to come to the Empower Series and be on this podcast.
Thank you.
Because you're putting something out there that's going to be out there in perpetuity. And our collaboration is not just for us. It's really blessing other people.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Time is our most precious resource. We never get that back. And I also want to thank you for watching, because this is your most precious resource as well. But I want to make sure that it doesn't end here, right? You just don't watch this and then go back doing what you normally do. Do something different. So as a result of this, what are you going to do? Your Instagram account is called what now?
Kutana 19.
Kutana 19.
19.
So if one action is that you go to Kutana 19 and you DM, you follow. That's easy. Follow, number one. But then also you provide your contact information by DMing, right?
Yes.
And saying, hey, this is your career. You want to be involved somehow. Then you can capture the list of email addresses.
Yes.
Or you can contact the Empower Series, and we'll get that information and share it with you.
Awesome. Thank you. In Swahili, specifically Tanzanian Swahili, we say asante kushukuru, which is not to say thank you and then respond with you're welcome, but thank you for saying thank you. And that means a lot to me. Like this whole platform, I appreciate you.
Say that again.
Asante kushukuru.
Asante kushukuru.
Asante.
Asante.
Asante kushukuru.
Yeah, I'll practice that.
Yeah. But thank you.
All right, most def. All right, this is not the end, this is the beginning.
For sure.
All right, hey, until we meet again, be empowered and inspired to thrive.